Hi, everyone. So, I have a pretty awesome story I need to share with you guys. Something that happened to me at Walmart yesterday. And then, you guys, I just want to touch on the 69 and twins that the Lord is showing me. I've been led to so many things, but you guys, this story is so awesome. And just the Lord is pointing us. I truly believe the Lord is telling us to get ready, that it is time to go home. So Thursday, you guys, my son stopped over with my grandson and he said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Nothing." I said, "I got the day off." And he says, "Well, I'm starting this new job. I would like to go over to Bozeman and get some new clothes." And he said, "Do you want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds like fun." So I picked him up about 11 o'clock yesterday, you guys. It was absolutely beautiful outside, and I was just happy to spend the day with him and Talon. And I was already excited because of Diana's video that she shared about that 6-year-old little girl. And so I was just super excited yesterday. So we head over to Bozeman and we decided to stop and get some Chinese food and eat before we ventured out shopping. And as you guys know, at the end of the meal, they always bring you the fortune cookie. And you guys, I always pray that the Lord will give me a small little message from Him in my fortune cookie. And it doesn't always happen, but yesterday I did the same. I prayed and asked the Lord to give me a little message in my fortune cookie. So I open up the fortune cookie, you guys. Oh my gosh. You guys are not going to believe the message in here. The fortune cookie read, "You will be a guest with a very gracious host within the month." And of course, I got Holy Ghost goosebumps all over my body, and my eyes started welling up with tears. And my son looked at me and he said, "What's wrong, Mom?" And I said, "My fortune cookie." And he says, "Well, what did it say? What does it say?" And I said, "It says you will be a guest with a very gracious host within the month." And he's looking at me like all puzzled, and he's like, "Yeah, so?" And I said, "Jesus, the rapture?" And he just kind of rolled his eyes at me. And my son is very touchy on this. He loves Jesus, but you guys, he's 22 years old. He's not quite ready to go to heaven just yet. So it's just a very touchy subject with him. And sometimes he lets me talk about it. Sometimes he just kind of walks away from me. So anyways, we go out shopping and end up going to Walmart right before we head home. And again, you guys, I'm just happy. The sun's shining. And normally when I go over to Bozeman, I already get in that mindset of being on guard because so many people are just extremely rude and they just don't care. And but spring fever was in the air yesterday because everybody was just seemed to be so happy. And so I take my grandson over to the toy department and buy him a couple toys. And everybody's just kind of like, "Oh, he's so cute." And just very, very nice. Make a long story short, you guys, we were there for about an hour, hour and a half. And we had 2 carts just plump full of stuff. And so we head out to the checkout line. And there was quite a few people in Walmart, so we had to wait a little bit. And as soon as the lady in front of me got done checking out, the manager and a younger lady came and they switched out the register. And so the manager was kind of standing around just going from that checkout line to the next checkout line. The other checkout line was the bigger one where they have all the cigarettes and stuff. So she kind of just kept on coming back and forth. And I just thought that was kind of strange. And I thought, well, maybe this is a new girl and she just wants to stand by and make sure that she's there in case anything goes wrong. I didn't think much more of it. So I put in my card at the end, and the manager quickly comes over and she's punching in some buttons and she says, "Ma'am, for some reason your card is not working." And she says, "Do you mind if I take it? I have to run to the office and I'll be right back." And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Why wouldn't she just have me run my card again or ask me if I had another card? And again, I didn't think much more of it. So I told my son, I said, why don't you take the first cart out and just go start unloading everything into the truck? And I'll be out in a minute. So the lady behind me, she starts checking out, and she looked at the cashier and she said, will you keep an eye on my total? She goes, I only have $100 on here and I can't go over the $100. And she said, yes. And so she looks at me and she's like, oh, I love your sweatshirt. And I was wearing my sweatshirt that says, all I need is Jesus and coffee. And the guy behind her, he put his thumbs up and he's like, yeah, I love your sweatshirt too. And I was like, thanks. And I gave him a smile and just kind of standing there. And I so wanted to pay for this lady's stuff. I just felt like I really wanted to pay for her stuff. But my son had taken my purse with the first cart, and all I had was my debit card, which the manager had. So I'm just kind of saying a little prayer like, Lord, have this manager hurry up so I can pay for this lady's stuff. But there was a line behind her as well, so I didn't want to volunteer just quite yet. But then she was talking to the gentleman behind her saying, well, I'll be broke, but that's okay. She goes, God looks out for me, and I'm in government housing now. I've never really been on a budget before, but the last couple months I've had to get help from the state, and now I'm in housing, and it's all good, and just really happy lady. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better, knowing that she was being taken care of. The Lord was watching out for her. But the manager didn't come back yet. So she checks out, leaves, and finally the manager comes up to me, and I can see her walking toward me, and she's got this long receipt. She brings the receipt and gives me my card, and she said, somebody wanted to bless you today and pay for your stuff. And I said, are you joking? And she said, no. She goes, you're blessed today. And I said, well, who did this? And she goes, they wanted to stay anonymous. And she smiled and she started walking away. And of course I start crying, you guys. And the guy behind, the guy that was behind the lady that was behind me, he was just checking out, and he gave me a big smile and he said, look, the Lord just wanted to bless you today. And I was like, wow, wow, wow. Who does this, to see. And I'm thinking in my mind, he gave me a side hug and he introduced himself and he takes off, and I'm walking out of Walmart, you guys, just crying and just so touched, so very touched over this. And I'm thinking the only thing that would make me think that somebody would want to pay for my stuff, seeing 2 full carts worth of stuff, I could see if, you had $100 worth of stuff, somebody wanting to, step in and pay for your stuff just to be a good Samaritan. But to see somebody that had 2 full carts, I could only think the only reason they would want to pay for my stuff is because they saw my sweatshirt, all I need is Jesus and coffee, and just knew I was a Christian and wanted to bless me. It's the only thing I could think of, you guys. I don't look like I'm poor or in need. I'm not rich by any means, but I carry myself very well. So I get out to the truck, and I'm just still like in shock. And my son looks at me and he says, what's wrong? And I said, you'll never believe what just happened. And he said, what? And I said, somebody paid for our stuff. He said, are you kidding? And I said, no. And he said, how much was it? And I said, $522. You guys, I was so shaken up. I had to get in my truck, and I called my husband. I said, Evan, just unload the rest of the stuff if you could, please. And so I called my husband. I said, you'll never believe what just happened. So I'm telling him this, and again, you guys, I said, I just honestly believe the Lord was just telling me that he acknowledges everything that I do for other brothers and sisters in need. You guys, I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal, but I do look for people to help. If I see somebody in need, I will help if I can. And so I just believe the Lord was just saying, I acknowledge what I see and acknowledge what you do. And I just want you to know, and I want to bless you today and just show you how much I love you. You guys, I was just touched all day long. And anyways, this morning, I just felt prompted to look up 522 for some reason. I was thinking that last night too. Like, I should really look up what 522 means. That was how much my bill was at Walmart. You guys, oh my gosh, I looked it up in the King James Version of Strong'sConcordance.com or whatever. They have this King James Version part where you can punch in the number. It means take away, to lift off, take or carry away, to be taken away from anyone, removed. And I was just floored, you guys, because there is lift off again. And if you guys remember, I just had the dream where the little kids were dancing and singing, and they were singing the song, lift off, it's time to lift off. And then they disappeared. So you guys, for me to get this 522, another confirmation to lift off. And I just watched a video from Holly WV the other day, and I believe she woke up saying lift up. And her friend had texted her or emailed her, and she had received a red balloon. If I'm not mistaken, she saw a red balloon go up into the air, and I believe she said that reminded her of the movie, that little cartoon movie with the old man, and the movie was called Up, and it had a red balloon in the cartoon. I watched it quite a few years ago. It was kind of cute. So there's another confirmation. So you guys, last night also, many people had commented in my last video with the 69, the Minnesota Twins, the 69, that had reminded them of a teaching that Jonathan Kleck did. So somebody left me a link, and I did start watching it, you guys. But you guys, I am subbed to Jonathan, but his videos are long, and he kind of repeats himself, and I can just handle a handful of his videos. He's just an awesome brother, and I know the Lord has gifted him in this. But again, you guys, his videos are just too long for me. So unless somebody kind of just says, hey, you need to watch this video from Jonathan, I just kind of really don't watch his videos. So I did start watching this little mini series of his that he was doing with just the twin system and everything else. I haven't watched the whole thing, but make a long story short, you guys, what I've been shown was that the wheat and the tares look identical until they are harvested. So he was talking about Cain and Abel, the seed of God, the seed of Satan. And I believe that's what the Lord is showing us right now. It is that we are being separated. And I was also led to look up the meaning of Patrick again. In my dream, when I gave birth to the twins, I named mine Patrick and Nicholas. In my dream, I gave birth to one. And this is kind of where I was kind of like, when I shared that dream, I was like, well, I don't know why I left the hospital, but I gave birth to one, and I left the hospital for a little bit, and then I came back and gave birth to the second one. So I believe the Lord was showing us a separation there as well, because normally you would not leave the hospital if you're giving birth, but I left the hospital, came back. Anyways, Amanda Christian also had the twins dream as well, and she named hers Patrick and Stephen. So I looked up the meaning of Patrick, you guys. The first thing that came up was talked about St. Patrick's Day. And I remember reading a comment just a day or two ago about that people are eating, drinking, giving into marriage on St. Patrick's Day. Well, today is Shabbat Para, March 10th. And that means purification. I believe it is showing us that the bride of Christ is being purified right before we go home. Could this be a 7-day warning? Could the Lord be showing us St. Patrick's Day? I'm not sure, you guys. I'm just telling you what I've been led to. I'm not saying it's set in stone, but also somebody was speaking about they also do fireworks on Patrick's Day. So I was sharing this with my husband this morning or yesterday, and he said, did you know that they named St. Patrick's Day after a gentleman named Patrick that got rid of the serpents when he got to Ireland? And I was like, are you kidding? And he said, yeah. He said, that's why he was famous, and they named St. Paddy's Day after him, because when he came to Ireland, he destroyed all the serpents. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, also, fireworks are, they celebrate St. Paddy's Day with fireworks too. And as you guys know, if you've been with me for a while, you know I've received fireworks streams. And the last one was not that long ago, where I was at the fair and I was going around and around, and the gentleman that was running that ride, he said, there's a message for you guys. Now look up. And so the ride started going, and then we looked up in the sky and it said, it's time to go, go, go. And the whole sky was filled with fireworks. So as you guys know, people in Ireland, St. Paddy's Day is huge. So people are drinking, eating, giving into marriage on this day. So that just got me thinking, you guys, and just the meaning of Patrick, and just this twins and the 69. And yesterday, you guys, I don't remember dreaming. I know I dreamt, but I can't remember what. But I did wake up saying 69 is truth. So the two things that really stood out to me with the 69 was either the 69th year, which we know Israel turns 70 on May 14th. And my brother had brought this up too. He said the twins were born on May 14th. And I was like, oh yeah. Okay, well then this little girl that said Jesus said he was coming before her birthday is June 9th, which is another 69. So those were my two connections. But then my brother brought that up. You guys, both of my brothers have had twins, and my first cousin had twins. So I was just like, wow, that one set of twins were born on May 14th. But you guys, I just, with all this twin stuff and the 69 does represent twins as well. Because I'm not going to get into great detail about it. I'm still trying to do a little bit of research. So if I find anything more interesting on it, then I will come back and do a video. But I truly believe the Lord is telling us it is time. And I thought back to just when I was talking about the harvest, when I had that dream about harvesting fish, it was done and it was over. And then right before I woke up, my grandpa had said Chanda. And I looked at somebody. I don't know if I was dreaming. I just knew that I had looked at somebody and said, it's time to say goodbye. So, you guys, I believe the Lord is saying it's time to say goodbye. When I look back at just the last 2 months of my dreams, everything is telling us it's time to go home. Whether it is St. Paddy's Day, whether we're in this 7-day purification, I'm not sure, you guys. We could be looking at Passover. If not Passover, there's still so many things happening in April. Then we have Israel's 70th birthday. So you guys, there's a lot of things pointing to the next 2 months. And I'm just truly believing with all my heart that the Lord is just saying, this is it. It's time to be ready. It's time to say goodbye. And I've said this before, you guys. Once the rapture happens, our families are going to be so distraught, the ones that are left behind. And so again, you guys, I just encourage you to have them a little prepared, because if there's no food or water or anything, they're gonna, whether the UN vans and stuff come house to house and pick up these people, bring them to the FEMA camps, and they have to have that, they have to make a choice right then and there. We want to give them enough time to get their minds right to be able to go into these places and they're going to have to give their lives to Christ. So we want their minds right. We don't want them to be scared and just give in to the beast system. And that's why I did what I did, was just to give them enough time to be ready to have to give their lives for Christ, because that's what it's going to boil down to. You either take the mark or you give your lives to Christ. And Stephen, which was in Amanda's dream, also means he was the first martyr for Christ. So again, you guys, there's so many things pointing us to now. I believe the Lord is just saying, it's time. Be ready. Get your families ready. Sow those seeds. And if you can't talk to your families directly, you guys, just do it in the letters. Just tell them everything. And the biggest thing is, don't take the mark, and let them know that they can still make it to heaven. They just have to most likely die and give their lives up for Christ in that way. But you guys, I think I shared everything. This was just awesome what happened yesterday at Walmart, the 522, and then just the twins. There's, again, still a little bit more revelation that I want to look into about this, but basically, you guys, we all are the same. Well, we look the same. You know, we have the seed of God. We have the seed of the serpent. So, again, I believe it was Jonathan that was saying, until this is harvested, people look alike. And then when it's harvested, so I believe the Lord's saying he is harvesting us, the wheat, and, you know, we're just there. So you guys, I'm going to let you go. I still got somebody to get up here. I let her sleep in again today, but it's the Sabbath day, you guys. So just have a blessed day. One other thing I was going to mention was the dream that I had about Jesus coming to the hospital and donating blood. And then when I looked at the nurse and I said, we need more blood. And she said, there is no more blood. Remember, when Jesus was walking up to the hospital, it was snowing outside, but there was green grass. It was green grass. And at that time, I thought the Lord was showing us the beginning of winter. But now that I was thinking about it, I'm thinking about all my dreams for quite some time. I had also told my husband, I said, maybe the Lord was saying, and here in Montana, we always get a last winter storm, and we just had one like 3 days ago. We had a really heavy snowstorm. Maybe the Lord is showing us that this is when all his children are sealed, the ones that are going into the rapture. This is the time, because he's showing us no more blood, no more grace and mercy. That's what I'm feeling. Just at the end of winter, and we are at the end of winter, where spring starts March 20th. And you guys, again, I had so many of those rapture dreams that pointed us to springtime. The one was, I was in that flower, and the petals bloomed, they opened up, and when I looked up out of this flower, I saw heaven above. And then the other one was, I was at that farm, and there was just flowers everywhere. And I backed up out of the driveway, and then I shot straight up in the air like a slingshot. And I was looking down at this farm, and it just got smaller and smaller and smaller, just until it became a dot. And then that was the end of my dream. So there was a lot of spring rapture dreams that I had. And those spring rapture dreams just never left me. So again, guys, spring is March 20th. Maybe that's what the Lord is showing us, that it's the end of grace and mercy, that we are sealed, and then it's time to go home. So I just wanted to give you guys all this stuff. And again, if I come across anything or come into more revelation about the twins 69, I'll definitely come back and do a video. So you guys have a great day. Be blessed. Just take what I said to heart about our families and stuff, and just being ready, because we could seriously go home any moment from this day forward, any moment. There's nothing that needs to happen before the rapture. And for all you guys out there that want to say nobody knows the day or hour, that's not true. If the Lord did not want us to know, wouldn't he have said, nobody will know the month or the year? This day and hour is so minimal, and nobody's going to know the exact day or hour, but that's as minimal as you can get. And I believe when he stated that, it had to do with the second coming. The rapture and the second coming are two totally different events. Jesus doesn't come back for the rapture. We are taken from here where we meet him in the clouds. So that's what I believe, and it's just my opinion on no one knows the day or hour. And that could have been back in the day too, but now that we're closer and closer, I believe all heaven knows. I believe all heaven knows that our Father is about to be sent back here. You know, Jesus is going to come back and get us. So we've seen it over and over where people have seen the angels. They're ready. They're excited. And I have felt it. I've heard the angels singing. And I just knew that they knew that it was almost time. And everybody's stating, well, not everybody, but many people have stated they've seen the wedding supper. Everything is ready. The plates are ready. The candles are lit. Jesus is in his tux, and he's just waiting on the Father to say, go get my children. So you guys, today could be the day, but be ready every day. I love you. Jesus loves you. Take care and God bless.